In this step-by-step installation video, we will show you how to build a weedy Fundo Ligno floor-level entry shower and ready to tile in the same day. The Fundo Ligno features a pre-fall design, is only 20mm thin at the perimeter, and is internally waterproof due to its closed-cell extruded polystyrene foam core, and it's coated with reinforced cement-based resin to allow for great and lasting tile bond. The measurements should be calculated from the framing to the center of the DN50 waste pipe in the floor, so that the cutout in the subfloor can be made using of 165 to 180mm diameter. The existing DN50 waste pipe is cut off at least 60mm or max 100mm below the top of the substrate. The weedy drain adapter will then be glued to the DN50 waste pipe with the correct primer and solvent cement glue appropriate for the pipe and drain material. The weedy adapter is cut off at 15mm below the top of the substrate using an inside pipe cutter. Dry fit the weedy shower base to make sure that the drain fully falls into the opening. All the weedy shower bases are totally customizable directly on the job site. In this project, we will cut the Ligno shower base to length in order to make it fit to the plan. A circular saw with a diamond or carbide blade is used to cut the base clean. The Fundo Ligno always needs to be installed with the weedy compression fit drain system. We start by taking the weedy drain assembly part before we attach it to the Ligno shower base. A bead of Weedy's house-engineered MS polymer joint sealant is applied to the channel inside the base's plastic receiver O-ring, which is prefabricated and sealed inside the Weedy base. Turn the shower base and insert the rubber O-ring first, followed by the fiber O-ring for tightening the O-rings firmly against the stainless steel drain body build into the base by Weedy. Take the locking nut and hand tighten. Please do not use ranges or other tools to do this step. When tightening, make sure that the drain body remains in its bead of joint sealant and receiver channel. Once the drain unit is connected to the Ligno shower base, smooth out all the excess sealant at the drain opening area. Before adhering the shower base to the substrate, make sure that your substrate is clean of any debris, oil, and waxes. Now we are using the appropriate tile adhesive for the substrate. In this installation, we would need to use a C2S2 tile adhesive for a wooden substrate. It is imperative for the system to work safely that the appropriate tile adhesive provides full coverage and support underneath the weedy shower base. Here, we are using a 10 by 10mm square notch trowel and spread the tile adhesive evenly to the floor in one direction. When back buttering the shower base with tile adhesive, the trowel line should always point to the same direction. The weedy shower base is now laid into the tile adhesive on the floor. Walk and weigh down the Ligno base into the tile adhesive so that air can escape from the setting bed. Apply some weights evenly distributed over the surface and drain area. Tile boxes or tile adhesive bags can be used. We are now ready to install the waterproof, weedy building boards directly to the shower wall framing. As you can see, the boards are extremely lightweight, but they will act as a strong backer board once installed. The 10mm weedy board is sufficient for timber framing studs of maximum 450mm apart. They are cut using a score and snap method, or you can also just cut through the entire board using a utility knife. When installing the wallboard, a continuous 10mm bead of weedy joint sealant is applied between wallboards and between shower base channel. All wallboards are pushed into the sealant tightly. To fasten the weedy wallboards, you will use the weedy fasteners that contain weedy washers and screws at 300mm intervals, starting 300mm up from the shower base. The washers will be sunk right below the weedy building board surface to create a great flat surface to tile on. Don't worry about affecting the cement-based resin coating of the weedy building board. It provides excellent bonding strength. But the waterproofing is provided by Weedy's closed-cell XPS foam core. Make sure to tool the excess joint sealant quickly, as it will start to show a topical cure after approximately 20 minutes. The curing will still apply in hot temperatures or high humidity areas, as the sealant uses moisture to cure. You can use the Weedy building board vertical and horizontal. Do not leave any gap between two boards, as the joint sealant is not a joint filler. There is no need to leave an expansion joint between two boards, as the Weedy building panel is inert and will not shrink or expand over time. All Weedy building panels should be butted tightly together. Next, we are installing the sidewall. To join the Weedy building board, a continuous 10mm bead of Weedy joint sealant is applied in the channel of the shower base. Another continuous 10mm bead of Weedy joint sealants applied up along the corner of the backer board. Cutouts for plumbing should be made as tight as possible, as such holes in waterproofing present a risk of water running behind your tile and exiting through such cutouts. Push the boards tightly together by leaving no gap. For the finalized proper waterproofing and strong sealant reinforcement, a second continuous 10mm Weedy joint sealant bead is topically applied over all seams in the entire assembly and troweled flat using a Weedy corner putty knife or regular flat putty knife. All seams should be covered by a minimum of 20mm on both seams. Make sure that the joint sealant coverage is solid and uniform, but also flat, leaving no areas of build-up for your tiles. Excess joint sealant can be used to now waterproof all fastener points properly. The coverage of joint sealant should be sufficient to cover visible metal and reach over the washers by at least 10mm. Weedy's prefabricated sealing gaiters for the shower fixtures should be used to accurately waterproof any openings around the valves. Next, we waterproof the drain kit connection, which can be done immediately once the shower base is installed or at a later point. We will first apply the rubber sealing gasket between drain adapter exterior and Weedy drain interior. The pebbled edge of the gasket points up. Feel free to use some hand soap around the rubber gasket, but do not use any Vaseline or other chemicals that can eat into the rubber gasket. Take your time to install the gasket. This is a tight fit, and the gasket will only work as a compression part if you install it flush with the drain adapter's top end. Now, a locking nut is inserted into the Weedy drain thread and moved downward to where it will meet the rubber sealing gasket. We use the metal screw as provided with the drain kit and insert it into the prefabricated notches in the locking nut. A large flat-headed screwdriver is inserted into the metal slot, and you can start screwing the locking nut tightly down. Finally, the brushed stainless steel cover is inserted. Optionally, the grate includes a black plastic height extender for the grate cover and frame. If needed when using thicker tiles and stone in your shower, it can be cut to height and placed into the drain opening prior to putting the frame and cover on top. Weedy also has a tile insert drain cover to shape part of the full system that is available at your local Weedy supplier. Now, one of the Weedy's practical prefabricated soap niches in various sizes and depth is installed and recessed into the framing once Weedy building boards cut out to allow for the niche to fit in halfway onto the left and right frame studs. The Weedy prefabricated niches are made out of the strong 10mm Weedy boards to allow for good handling and safe installation. The perimeter flanges allow for the attachment to the framing, a safe waterproof integration, and a flush transition from niche to wall. Some of Weedy's niches come with these adjustable shelving units, which can be placed to exactly fitting in the tiled shower design. Finally, a surface bead of the Weedy joint sealant is spread flat over the niche to wall transitions, once the washers and fasteners have been put back into place to also supporting a flush transition. This will not only increase the strength and consistency of the seam waterproofing, but will also reinforce those seams. The installation of the shelving units can be installed with the weedy joint sealant and a minimum fall towards the shower so that the water may run off easily. Next, we are going to install a freestanding corner seat by only using Weedy's 50mm building boards. Naturally waterproof and dimensional stable, this method is eliminating traditional wooden subconstruction that reduces the risk of failure. Weedy's 50mm boards can be easily cut by using a circular saw, hand saw, or a jigsaw. Here, we are cutting two symmetric pieces and glue them together with the Weedy joint sealant and press them together firmly. This way, we created a triangular seat that will be 100mm thick to be freestanding. Mark the height of the desired seat and apply a continuous bead of the Weedy joint sealant to the exposed blue foam. A slight fall for the top piece can be considered when installing the seat to the wall. For extra reinforcement, you want to apply mesh tape to the top seam, then skim coat the Weedy joint sealant or tile adhesive to the taped areas. There are various solutions to waterproof your bathroom floor with the Weedy system. Here, we use the 20mm Weedy building boards. Simply mark your cuts, score the board with a Stanley knife, and cut from the mesh from the back of the board. To attach the 20mm board to our 20mm Ligno shower pan, you want to re-notch the Z-notch on the opposite side so that it fully interlocks to the base. The Z-notch channel must be recreated using a circular saw. This channel will allow for a safe seal and connection between the Ligno shower base and the 20mm Weedy building boards on the floor together with Weedy joint sealant. It is the best practice to cut through the base's heavy-duty traffic cement coating using a circular saw. When cutting through foam only, a utility knife with a sharp blade works fast and safely. However, you can use the circular saw with the guide as well. All cutting can be done right where you install. There are no hazardous chemical or gaseous contaminants set free when cutting products. Before adhering the 20mm boards to the substrate, make sure that your substrate is clean of any debris, oil, and waxes. Now, we are using the appropriate tile adhesive for the substrate. In this installation, we would need to use a C2S2 tile adhesive for a wooden substrate. It is imperative for the system to work safely that the appropriate tile adhesive provides full coverage and support underneath the 20mm board. Here, we are using a 10x10mm square notch trowel and spread the tile adhesive evenly to the floor in one direction. When back buttering the 20mm boards with tile adhesive, the trowel line should always point to the same direction. You can now tile a completely waterproof, mold-proofed, and even insulating shower. We have installed a shower completely made from Weedy system components, so this entire installation is protected by Weedy's warranty programs. More information can be found at weedy.com.au.